I think that if you are a person who truly does not want or desire children, you should not have children.
I agree with that.
Do I think the mindset may be shallow, superficial, and not well thought out? Maybe. I wouldn't.
See?
I never knew what DINKs were. You briefly explained it to me, and without showing me this video, you thought this would be interesting for me to react to.
Yeah, I watched it a few weeks ago and I got pretty triggered, so I saved it and I thought we might do a response video to this one.
Okay.
Have you guys ever heard of a DINK?
We're DINKs.
We're DINKs.
We're DINKs.
No, it's not a slur. It stands for double income, no kids. And it's essentially couples with two income streams who are deciding to stay together long term without having children.
So far, I don't see a problem with it. I don't know why people dislike them. They're similar to you and I. We don't have kids. We don't want kids. We're just happy with our childless life. So let's keep watching.
Guys, before we get into this video, if you'd like to support the work I'm doing,
Whatever. Who gives a shit?
I'll show you the two videos that went so viral, people couldn't help but make comments.
We're DINKs. Of course we're going to go out to eat every night after work.
We're DINKs. We have disposable income to spend on whatever we would like and don't have to spend on a kid.
Obviously, what they're saying is true. Like, they're basically listing all the advantages that they have. But, like, it's very cringy at the same time. Like, why do you need to be putting that out onto the internet? Like, for what reason?
It's being a smart aleck. It's the same as if you're not fat, just making fun of someone saying, I can eat whatever I want. I'm not big like you. I don't have to buy 2 seats on a plane. But this attitude, I understand why people are annoyed at these people, because they're like 5-year-old kids throwing mud at people, saying, like, look what I can do and you can't do it.
A lot of it, to me, when I hear these videos, is revolving around very superficial things like money and consumerism and travel and sex. That seems to be the through line through these videos. And you know what? If that's your view of life and that's what you want out of this experience, I don't feel a lot of hatred boiling inside me upon hearing it.
I just want to respond to that because I think that's completely fine. And if you choose to be a couple and not have kids and you want to travel and spend a lot of money on materialistic stuff and whatever, that's completely fine. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Sure.
It's very clear to me in watching these videos that this lifestyle is not personally for me, although I am sort of in a double income, no kid situation at the moment, but not with the goal of having that be my entire life. It seems like a lot of the things that these people are talking about can be quite selfish in nature. And I know people can make the argument that not having kids is actually a selfless act, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But it seems like the idea of not having kids is a symptom or side effect of a larger societal rot. We are only thinking about ourselves. We are only thinking about the current moment that we're in and not about what lies beyond that, what lies beyond these superficial wants and desires that we have as human beings.
Okay, sorry, but this is the stuff that really triggered me when I watched it the first time. Like, I don't like what she's saying. She's basically saying, like, the only good way to actually live and for life to have meaning for you is, like, if you choose this path of having kids. You notice that? That's what I don't like. Like, she's saying, like, it's superficial just to want to spend money or whatever. That's not true. Like, however you want to live your life, that's what's going to make you happy.
If you want to, in the eyes of traditionalists, waste your life, you should have every right to waste your life in their eyes. As long as you're not taking from society, they will argue you are because you should be reproducing kids. But I'm kind of more in line with what you're saying. It's like, don't tell me what to do with my life. There are so many different things that will make you want to live your life in a way that is meaningful for you.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I actually really don't like that these dinks are now making these TikTok videos, because now they're only fueling the other side more. Because normally people who don't want stuff, like people who are not religious, who don't want kids, who don't want to get married, they are always fine and they never shame the other side. It's always the other side that is shaming them. So now I feel by making these TikToks, they're only fueling the other side more, and they're going to get more shame in return.
And there are many things that I think could be fueling this. Social media, modern feminism, consumerism, and I'm curious to hear from you guys. What do you think is the main cause of this sort of ideology and this sort of viewpoint?
You know why this triggers me?
Because you're triggerable.
It triggers me because it attacks the idea of freedom.
Yeah.
And freedom is a huge thing with me. Just like our video about Passport Bros, I don't like people shaming them because it's about their freedom and what they want to do. That's why this triggers me also, because it's attacking my freedom and my will to do how I want to live my life, you know?
You
That's
don't
why.
like any rules imposed on you unless you're convinced of those rules or they're your rules or they make sense to you.
Yeah, like if how I live my life doesn't have any negative consequences to anyone and it's going to make me happy, why do you need to be shaming me for how I want to live my life?
True.
And as I said at the top of this video, many people are super upset at these DINK videos and they're hurling all these different comments at these couples saying, how dare you have this mindset? How dare you not want to have kids? I'm going to take a little bit of a different perspective. I think that if you are a person who truly does not want or desire children, you should not have children.
I agree with that.
There
That's
you go.
good.
This is the whole,
Yeah.
okay, so she did say that.
Do I think the mindset may be shallow, superficial, and not well thought out? Maybe. I wouldn't.
See? That's shaming. Do I think it's shallow, superficial? If you naturally really don't want kids, how could that be shallow and superficial? See, that's the shaming tactics. She's still using shaming language that I don't like.
You know what it's like? It's like when someone wants to make fun of you in public and they go, look, no offense, but, and then they just offend you.
You know why it's also so disappointing to me? These people from like the Daily Wire, I like watching them and because they're so intelligent and stuff. But then when it comes to these conservative topics, they can only see it from their point of view. And they just dismiss all of those other people who just want to live a different type of life. When you talk about kids, marriage, and religion, for example. Because I would respect it much more if she was like, I think it would be really good if people would get married and have kids because it's good for society and blah, 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 blah. And I would be like, yeah, that's true. Like, that's how you build a society. But then at the same time, not shame people for not wanting those things.
She makes videos and people love these videos where you're right. You make videos on your channel where you're right, everyone else is dumb. And the easiest way to do that is pull out the dumbest examples to make yourself right.
Yeah, but look, even if you look at those TikToks, yes, it's cringy because why would you want to put that out there and kind of like, you know, nag at the other group, at the other opposite side. But at the same time, they're just saying things that are true. Like if you have 2 incomes and no kids, you can do all of those things that they said more easily. So it's not like they're saying something crazy.
But somewhere deep inside me, I feel like these couples are going to look back on this moment where they've touted the DINK lifestyle and they're going to think we may have made the wrong decision.
No,
That's what you don't like.
no. And that's what people have told me as well, not often. But people will say,
Oh, but later you'll want kids and you'll change and blah, blah, blah.
and look, if that's the case, then okay. Then if you can still have kids, you can do it. If you can't, oh, tough luck. But like, I don't.
I think when people come off like they're God, they can tell the future and they know you better than you know yourself.
Yeah.
That's what's condescending. And there's not enough even-handed conversations. If you make your case from your conservative point of view. Like, make a case and say, you know, think about this. Like a well-meaning parent that cares about their child. Have a think about this. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I just have to tell you because I care about you. But you do what you want. As long as that's the best you can do. But they come off like they're God and they can tell the future.
Like, I would have much less of a problem with this if these people would not talk from such a superior standpoint. That's what they always do. But if they would just talk about it normally and just like kind of warn people or, you know, but do it in a respectful way.
I think we can both agree that both the TikTokers and her, we don't like the way they're both approaching the argument.
Yeah.
I just don't know that this lifestyle is all that it's cracked up to be in these 1-minute videos you see on TikTok.
Exactly. If you're just telling people, think about the future, if that's your message, that's good, but communicate it in a respectful way.
Yeah, sure, but that's not what she's doing. Like here again, she's saying,
I'm not sure if it's all it's cracked up to be.
and you're just responding to these specific TikToks, but you're talking about a whole group of people who don't want to have kids. Like it's kind of insulting.
Well, she's got the same underlying condescension as the TikTokers were doing, but she's doing it in a more kind of podcasty conservative way. So she's feeling a bit more self-righteous.
Yeah, but that's why it's almost worse, because those TikTokers, yes, it's very cringy, but
True,
they're
yeah.
probably just doing it for some likes and whatever and to kind of be funny or whatever. But she is actually serious and like a smart person. And these are actually her beliefs.
In that way, I agree with you. where the TikTokers, they're just sort of doing a TikTok fun video and they're intentionally being stupid about it. They're just trying to have fun. They're not sitting down having a serious discussion about their lives. They're just kind of skipping around on the streets, making a fun TikTok video.
Yeah, and you also don't know where they're coming from. They might also just be people who are really enjoying their life, and they're like,
Oh, I saw this DINK trend online. Oh, let's do a video. It would be fun.
it might just be that.
Elon Musk responds saying, there is an awful morality to those who deliberately have no kids. They are effectively demanding that other people's kids take care of them in their old age. That's messed up. And that got 15,000 likes. And where to some extent I can see Elon Musk's point that later on when these DINK couples grow to old age, they will be cared for in nursing homes by other people's children. I'm not quite sure that's an effective argument in convincing people to have children. If you are having children purely for the sake of having somebody to care for you in your old age, you should not have children. And if you're only having children because you feel some sort of moral duty to the human species to procreate, that might show up in the way that you raise those children.
Isn't that your whole fucking argument, though? That we should all have kids? So now you're debunking your own argument, or what?
You know, it might also be she's very forceful and she's almost like she flips, but then she's condescending. You could tell what she believes, but then she pretends to be reasonable, but she's very almost like she's on our side. And then she goes on the other side, and then she goes on her own personal side, and she's very forceful in each one.
Yeah, because she's basically saying that she thinks people should choose a life with kids, like people should be having kids. But then at the same time, she's saying she understands people that don't want to have kids. But then she says if you don't have kids, your life doesn't mean anything, and it's all shallow. But then also you shouldn't have kids just because it's good for society. Like,
overall, I don't see much wrong with her argument other than there's this condescending, passive-aggressive tone where you really see what she believes.
I think she's all over the place.
And I'm gonna throw shots at Elon Musk because he's managed to have multiple children in broken homes, which we all know is not good for society, no matter how much money you have.
Elon Musk gets a pass always just because of who he is and what he's doing for mankind. So I love Elon Musk.
We're seeing stories like this one. 26-year-old woman has 22 children and plans to keep going until she reaches 100. Now, of course, she has not had all these children.
Oh my God.
See, this is the bullshit. Like, this to me is just reality TV.
Now, of course, she has not had all these children naturally. She is pimping out surrogates in order to pump out what she wants to be 100 babies.
Sure. How many women do you know that even have 20 babies?
Yeah, that's like an exception.
So with that, let's watch another DINK video from TikTok.
We're dinks. We're gonna get chastised by people on the internet because they're gonna assume that we're just obsessed with material things, even though arguably you need a lot more material things once you have kids.
That's true. Like, you do consume more resources in society. You need more food produced by society in modern times.
You need a lot more material things once you have kids.
We're dinks. We don't need.
See how she was like nodding her head? That woman made a good point in terms of society needing more resources for kids. Like, the more people in the house, the more hot water you use, the more electricity you use. Like, you just consume more from society. If you want to talk about the environment, cutting down trees and fossil fuels, people who are having more and more kids are ruining the planet more. But that's another argument.
We're dinks. We're gonna be told the only way that we'll ever be fulfilled in life is by having kids.
Yeah, I really agree with that one as well. Like, I hate it when people say that like they know you. But you know what I'm also thinking now?
I'm completely right.
No, No, I was thinking about what I just said before. But we might actually be a pretty small group. Like a couple who really never wanted kids. But she's probably talking about a bigger group. Because I know that there are a lot of women who like change their minds later and then they regret not having kids. And if she's talking to that group, then that makes more sense.
You know what it is? If she really cared, the way she would discuss it would show in the words, the way she talks. But she doesn't care. If you're condescending and being superior, you don't give a shit. Just admit it then. But don't sit on the fence and pretend to have the moral high horse. If you actually cared about these people, you wouldn't talk this way. So just be honest. You don't give a shit about them.
We're dinks. We're going to book flights whenever we feel like it.
Would you call yourself a dink?
No, I don't think so. I think it's cringy.
Yeah, so do I.
Like, why people need to label everything nowadays. I think it's more that they want to create groups that people can belong to.
Yep.
With the whole LGBT whatever, they just want to create groups, everyone, because everyone wants to belong to a group and fit in somewhere. That's why they do it, I think.
But it's interesting that they say we're not obsessed with material things, right? When you have children, you need more material things. I think what the actual argument is you're obsessed with material things that service you. And you view a child as someone that you have to service, and you don't want that in your life.
That's true.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's also why we don't want kids. Like, we don't want to have all of the responsibility and care for a child and blah, blah, blah. We don't have any maternal instinct. So yeah, we don't want that responsibility. We want to just have the freedom of, if we want to spend money on something, that we can do that.
If I valued kids, I'd have kids.
Yeah.
I value a lot of other stuff that needs my time, attention, resources that I just find more appealing and attractive and give me more meaning. Kids just don't. And this is the thing. You can't shame people into genuinely wanting something that they don't.
Yeah.
You have to believe in God. You have to believe in being a mother and a father and wanting it. You can't just be like your parents saying, no, you have to do this. You have to turn up to church. And you're going,
yeah, I really believe in church.
And this kind of condescending attitude is just an overbearing parent.
Again, if you don't want children, do not have children. But every other point that they make in this video does sort of signal to the fact that they care more about a materialist lifestyle. They talk about going to Costco and buying whatever they want, having a pantry that's full of snacks.
I disagree with this so much. I think that because what they're doing, like they're going to get snacks, blah, 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 like that's what we do. Because just to let people know, like we're not materialistic at all. All I want to do is be at home. I'm a homebody. I just want to have quality time at home. All I ever spend money on, well, I don't really, we always buy together, but is food and like snacks and stuff. Like I hardly ever buy anything. So I'm not materialistic. But I'm saying like, even if people make a lot of money and they just want to spend their money on stuff, so fucking what? That makes sense. If you don't want to have kids, you're going to have money to spend on other things. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't like that she's shaming them for just like enjoying their lives and spending money. It doesn't mean that their life isn't as meaningful. They just want to live a different type of life. There's nothing wrong with that.
I don't like now how she summed up them as they're just materialistic and that's all they are.
Yeah.
That's the actual answer to their whole argument. They're just materialistic people. We've been going for nearly over an hour, babe.
I know, but this is so much fun.
Using their income on travel and buying things for themselves. All of these things point to what I call a me, now mentality.
Fuck off. Every time I went on a plane, the amount of couples with babies, they consumed the plane more than single people. The screaming and maybe it's just because single people or couples without kids don't make much noise. They don't have a big footprint in life. But people with kids take all the oxygen out of the room. They consume anyway.
So she's saying these people that don't want to have kids, they're spending their money on all of these things and it's all selfish, right? It's all me. But in this same video, you said if people don't want to have kids, then you shouldn't have kids. So then what do you want us to do? Like, of course, if you don't have kids, you're going to live a more selfish lifestyle because you don't have kids, so you can spend more time on yourself and doing stuff you want to do. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just logic. Like, it doesn't make sense, all the different sides that she's going in.
Food and snacks and football games and travel is all fun, and we all enjoy these things at some point in our lives. But does that last you forever?
Yes, because if you don't want kids, then you don't want kids. Then you're never going to have that desire to want to have kids. And then you're always going to enjoy the things that you already have always enjoyed. But she's looking from the point of view of someone who wants kids or who might want kids later. And that's why I think we might be a small group where if you just know you don't want to have kids, then of course you're going to always enjoy all of those other things, however you choose to live your life. Because there's never going to come a moment for us where we'll be like,
oh shit, I think I want kids now.
You know?
She really believes in what she believes in, and good for her. She really knows where she stands. So do you.
But I don't shame her for wanting kids. I can kind of understand that, and that's fine. I would never shame them.
Yeah, that's true.
But she's shaming people who don't want to have kids, and she's saying your life doesn't mean anything, and it's superficial if you just want to spend money and blah, blah, blah. and like this underlying shaming tone. We're not shaming them, they're shaming us always.
Yeah, that is true.
So
I do maybe worry for what their future looks like, but I hope that it's a very happy and fulfilled one.
don't pretend to be nice and to care about our futures when you've been shaming us like during the whole video. Like, that's so fake.
And the reason I'm a bit skeptical is that for all of human history, family has been foundational to the human experience and human flourishment.
Oh, fuck off. With the echo, like God speaking to you from the clouds. Yes, Moses.
To me, when I think of life, I cannot fathom one that does not have a family involved in some way, shape, or form.
You can't envision that, but there are many people who can.
I just simply can't imagine a world where family is not at the forefront of at least most people's brains, but it seems like that's the world that we're living in now.
What do you mean you can't imagine? It's in front of you right now. It's not at the forefront of society. What do you mean you can't imagine it?
But I actually want to think about this more on a philosophical level. I'm reminded of gratitude, which is this feeling of being...
Fuck off. Yeah, get out your journal.
And gratitude is, I think, essential to human happiness and human flourishment.
These are all empty platitudes.
Yeah, but it's like, I agree with what she says. Like, gratitude is very important because it feels really good and it's important and everything. But it doesn't have anything to do with you having kids or not.
And when you do a gratitude practice, it's important not just that I do not want to live a life where I'm 50 years old and I've spent the last decade of my life in full service of myself and these sort of...
I do.
I would like to be in service of a family, and a family that I know is going to go and live on and do great things for our communities and our societies.
Yeah, how do you know that they're going to go on to do great things?
Yeah, but also, like, I don't. I just want to enjoy my life with you. She's saying, like, everyone should be servicing others.
She's too much on a moral high horse. Don't condescendingly talk as though that's a given. You're going to give birth to the next Elon Musk or Thomas Sowell or something like that.
In fact, I'm sitting here as a 23-year-old right now, knowing that life doesn't start for me until that family begins for the most part.
So she said she's 23, so now we know her age. But she also said, life doesn't begin for me until I have my family. Like,
okay.
I so disagree with that as well.
Well, then again, she kind of feels empty until she gets that goal. Okay. And now you're imposing that on everyone else that might actually feel content and find out who they are without that. Yeah. So she's discounting people that actually feel whole and they know who they are. I've arrived. This is it. I don't want to arrive later on. This is it. I want to create my life from here and this is what I'm content with. And they know who they are. But she doesn't. And it's evident in her language where she says, I can't imagine. I've talked to narrow-minded people who can't see other people's point of view where they say, I can't imagine. How can you not love your child? And I'm like, well, I can. There are different people in the world. It's like, can you just accept that people are different? But she can't. She's got this view of herself in the future as being unicorns and rainbows, which is great. You're motivated for a future goal, but she's like, my life is nothing now. So you don't know yourself yet, but you're preaching to everyone else. You have all the answers, but you yourself haven't even gotten anywhere yet. You feel hollow, but you've got all the answers.
And everything that I'm doing now, all of the information and the wisdom that I am gaining in the experience of my young life is so that I can bestow that upon somebody who comes after me.
It's good for her that she wants all of these things. And she's probably like living a very moral life and everything. And that's good for her. I don't have a problem with that, but leave the rest of us alone. Like, especially because she's also so young.
She's communicating her point with a hammer. And I respect where her heart is and where she's coming from and what she wants to do for herself as an individual with the backing of like history and being conservative and maybe religious and wanting a family and feeling the maternal instinct. I get it. And because she's young as well and she's got this power and platform of a big channel as well, it just kind of comes across as a bit
condescending.
Yeah.
I just hope whatever it is you do and whatever choice you make, that you are happy and fulfilled, but also that you choose at some point in your life to be in service of other people in your community, to leave this earth.
Oh, you were doing so well.
And then her God complex comes in.
And then God came back.
And I think you can do that as a dink, and I think you can do that as a parent. But as always, I would love to hear your thoughts. And if you like this video, like...
Anyway, what are your final thoughts on this video?
Well, I think I've said everything I wanted to say, but I basically agree. You should be responsible, whatever your lifestyle is. And not extract more resources than you give if possible. So again, if you, like myself and you, know that you really don't want that lifestyle of a parent, you don't want children, you don't want the responsibility. It's not like you want them, but we're putting it off till later and we're being irresponsible and later's too late and then we cry about it. We never want it. For you and I, having kids is like a gay person being gay. We just don't want the normal biological thing that most people out there have wanted, right? We've got a very different lifestyle. We're not wired that way. It's not like we're trying, but we're scared of society, the laws, and...
I think she's really focusing on these TikTok type of people, and she doesn't really have a holistic view, or at least she's not addressing a holistic view of all of these kind of people who don't want to have kids. And I also think that however people want to spend their lives, as long as it's not harming anyone else, that's completely fine. And I don't think you should be shaming anyone for how they want to live their lives. Also, I noticed that she has a very strong viewpoint on how people should be living their lives and what might bring meaning to their lives. But she has to also understand that she can't just dismiss everyone else for wanting other things or not wanting to have kids. So, yeah, you can't push what you want and what you think is right onto everyone else because everyone is different and everyone is going to want to live their lives differently.
Anyway.
This was fun.
Like, subscribe. Yeah, you do it. I can't be bothered. Come on, woman.
Okay.
Outro.
Let us know your thoughts in the comments and we'll see you next time.
Bye. Women talk a lot. Her, you.
What? We talk. Who talks?
I'm joking. I wanted to see your reaction on the camera. If you add up her and you women talk so much. I think I talked about 20 minutes in this video.
If we add up us, you're still gonna have to talk more.
Probably.